My name is James Probert and I'm the head of the Centre for Speech and Debate here at the English Speaking Union. The English Speaking Union is an international educational charity. We were founded almost 90 years ago, just after the First World War, by a group of American and British friends. And their mission was that people from different countries who spoke English could learn to understand one another better through things like scholarships and exchanges, conferences and seminars, and also through debating and public speaking. Today, there are ESUs in 54 countries around the world, and we've got more than 15,000 members, and those same principles still apply. We bring together young people and professionals and give them interesting ways to use their English to take advantage of things like globalization, things like the increased availability of travel, things like the information revolution. That means that people from around the world can communicate with each other more easily. And by doing that, we help to generate cultural understanding and international understanding that will last those people for the rest of their lives. And the Global Young Leaders course has offered the ESU scholarships overseas for young people who are successful in debating or public speaking activities in their own countries to join the other delegates at the course in London and to take advantage of the teaching that's on offer so they can really develop their skills and they can go and take those skills back to their own countries. I really hope that in the course of watching this video you'll see what a lot of fun the participants had in the Global Young Leaders course last year. You'll see what would be in store for you if you were to come on the course this year, and you'll also get a sense of what you might take away from it. You'll get a sense of how the participants really benefited from it, the things they got up to probably outside the classroom as well, because I know that a lot of them made some lasting friendships and had a really good time exploring London and other parts of England. It's not all work.
These 60 overseas students are about to take part in Our World's Global Young Leaders programme, a unique course which has been set up in association with the English Speaking Union.
The Global Young Leaders programme first took root in a discussion with Sam Bloch, who is one of the world's leading debaters. The course that we've designed combines masterclasses in debating from some of the world's top debaters with workshops, debates, competitive events in which students are able to demonstrate the skills that they've learnt during the course. There's also opportunity for students who come from many different countries of the world to spend time together socially, on excursions and evening activities.
In just 2 weeks' time, they will have mastered the art of persuasive argument and reasoned understanding through a series of debates and seminars, specially prepared course materials, and expert coaching from some of Great Britain's top speakers. In addition to these classes, every evening they'll get the chance to visit some of London's most famous sites, as well as day trips which will incorporate visits to both Oxford and Cambridge, where they'll get the chance to visit two of the most famous universities in the world. The students of the Global Young Leaders course have just arrived in central London and are staying at Northumberland House. Within minutes' walking distance from Trafalgar Square, the Houses of Parliament and Buckingham Palace, it's a prime location for the capital's top sites and attractions. The academic programme that they'll be studying has been put together by course director Sam Bloch. At 22 years old, Cambridge graduate Sam has already been ranked second top speaker in the world and the best undergraduate at the World University Debating Championships.
I think the aim of the course is to provide the skills that people need to take up leadership positions. I quite like the course because it uses debating to do that, and the fact that I think debating is something that's important and something that's vital to kind of developing understanding. But debating is a means to an end, the means to making people able to take up the positions that they would like in life.
It's the first day of classes, which are being held at King's College London, just a short walk down the Strand from where the students are staying. They're met by course leader Sam, who gives them a short talk on what they can expect from the next 2 weeks. Sam is assisted by a number of colleagues from Oxford and Cambridge universities. These mentors will be working in small seminars as the class is broken down into groups. It's in these seminars that the students will prepare for their very own debating championship.
The place I want to start is by looking at why we speak in the first place. Like when I'm talking to you now, what am I actually trying to do? Because debating is just a kind of formalised way of speaking. It's just kind of speaking and thinking at once that models a lot of things in the real world. So if you think about, and I'm referring to your handouts now, if you think about if you're in the world of business, you're trying to give a presentation to someone, you're probably doing something like what I'm doing now. You're ostensibly just telling people about something, but really you're trying to enthuse them about it and make them care. So that's one sort of speaking. You're trying to give people the idea that something is something important, that something is something that they should be really thinking about, something they should care about. Now, I think the best way to tell you what a debate is to show you one.
As Sam is joined by the other teachers, two main groups are formed: the proposition and the opposition. The debate is about whether or not the sale of human organs should be legal.
The situation today, ladies and gentlemen, the status quo, no thanks. What we say, ladies and gentlemen, is that in this country and many countries overseas, we have a chronic organ shortage. In this country alone, there are about 70,000 individuals which need kidneys. They have chronic kidney failure, ladies and gentlemen, and need kidneys in order to survive. Now, currently, ladies and gentlemen, we say that these individuals are dependent upon systems like dialysis.
The format of the students' debate is the same as that used in the British Parliament, which allows interruptions, or points of information, from the opposing party. But there are some blank faces in the audience as the students try to understand exactly what's happening. As the debate progresses, the pupils start to catch on.
Well, you can have my kidney now before I die.
The class includes a party of 25 students who have come from Dubai to further their English skills through debating. They are accompanied by their teacher, Michael James.
Well, I hope the students, after they attend this course, will gain a global perspective. And from what I've seen, from the number of young adults that have come from different parts of the world and the way they've been interacting with each other, discussing issues, real-world issues, analysing problems, I think that's so necessary for our young people today to understand and perhaps even to live by, because we're not living in a small world, we're living in a very multipolar world today. And for sure this is something that they're going to benefit from.
As the debate draws to a close, the students realise the task ahead of them, if they're to successfully compete in their own debating championship in just 2 weeks' time. As each student is allocated to their group, they head off to their first seminar, where they can discuss what they've just seen, and the teachers can explain the basic rules of debating. In Sid's class, he's finding out what his group made of the debate. Who did the students think put forward the best argument, and why?
4 of you, I think it was these 4 here, thought opening government came last. Why?
He went all around, like he was beating around the bush. He went first to kidneys and then he went to cornea grafting, and then he would never allow anyone to object. So there was no room to actually see if he was wrong in any way he was speaking.
You thought closing opposition, you thought opening opposition won. Why do you think opening opposition won?
I thought altogether as the two people in the pair had the best style in that having the best style means that their structure is more evident, and that means that I as a listener can really understand what they're talking about, and which is quite important.
Why is the structure important?
If you list the points that you're going to set out in the debate, then the people who are listening are prepared for each one, so it's not like a jumble of argument.
Every speaker should be bringing something of their own to the debate. In summary, that means bringing it through analysing the debate in new ways. In the other 3 speeches, it means you've got to bring your own arguments or your own analysis to the debate.
As the pupils break for lunch in the canteen, they talk about how the first morning has gone.
The show debate I thought was pretty good to watch. Luca said it was a bit like a circus at the start because, so many people. But I think it's after we got into our small groups, it became more kind of focused and concentrating.
With the lunch hour over, it's back to the classrooms, and Steve is organising his group into proposition and opposition parties. They're about to try their first debate.
And the goal is this. We're going to set really high goals in the beginning, so it gets progressively easier to fulfill them. So, this house would allow capital punishment.
With just 15 minutes to prepare for their first debate, the students get into pairs and start work on their arguments.
So I split these kids up into groups. I did it randomly because I feel like it's very good for kids to learn, to work with different people. And, fundamentally everybody works with different debate partners. And that's something that's really good. And so I gave them the motion that this house would allow capital punishment. And, and it's a very basic resolution that gets into societal implications, individual implications, and so they get 15 minutes to come up with cases. And now this is the first day, so it's going to be a little bit rough, but as days go on, we'll get a little bit better. And as a result, what we're hoping is that some sort of debate will come out of this that's really good. It's a start, and that we can build off of. And I feel that it'll be really successful in the future.
With their 15 minutes over, it's time for the students to start the debate. Each student has up to 5 minutes to speak. No easy task for a beginner.
Essentially, capital punishment is setting an example. It's showing people that justice is being done and the law is being upheld, and the law needs to be respected.
As the rest of the speakers go on to deliver their speeches, Steve's impressed with how much they have already learnt, and the fact that they're challenging each other's arguments.
I'm not going to judge this debate. I'm not going to say who won, who lost. I think that it's too early for that. I'm just going to give a little bit of suggestions to everybody. Then I'll probably go down the line and give everybody a little bit of individual suggestions. This is what I usually do with my team at home. And the whole thing is just to have fun with it, because that's ultimately what debate is having fun with intellectualism and trying to beat people at their own game intellectually. And so when you're excited about your partner speeches, when you're excited to be in the round, that shows in your style. That gets people excited, and I promise you that you will get higher speaker points as a result of it. When you're in the debate, you actually make the whole debate a lot better.
Having spent most of the day in lectures and seminars, the students have now got some free time to themselves. Some of them decide to head out to do a spot of sightseeing around London. Having learnt the basics of debating, the students of the Global Young Leaders course are now ready to move on to the next level and have a look at how to go about constructing a reasoned argument. Course tutor Liz knows that she has to get across the understanding of construction and content in an argument if her group is to stand a chance of winning the debating competition in 2 weeks' time.
So the key thing is when to use content, but speech mustn't just be content. And that's why we're doing content today, because it's the most important thing. But tomorrow we're focusing on style, because content without style is boring, and style without content is great fun, but you're going to come last. So ideally you want to bring the two together.
Choosing rap music as a topic, and whether its violent lyrics should be banned, the students now have to put forward arguments for and against, bearing in mind that the content of their argument needs to be well laid out, with strong reasoning behind it.
Madam Speaker, we oppose the motion for the following reasons. Number one, we believe that violent rap music lyrics infuses violence and hatred amongst society, amongst the citizens. And we further believe that violent rap music lyrics brainwashes the youth, who we, as responsible adult citizens, are supposed to inculcate with good morals and good values.
So all we're going to do, say, for the rest of this is, again, just expanding things. The way I made you speak yesterday for a short period of time, today we will have another debate. It will be a longer debate this time. So it's just expanding each time. That was really good. Thank you.
It's nearly the end of the first week, and taking a break from the classroom, the course tutors have arranged to take the students on a day trip to Oxford.
I think Oxford it's fantastic. I mean, it's such a great break from the actual centre of London where we stay, and to see something like this preserved for centuries, it's fantastic.
Throughout the course, each day a guest speaker comes to King's College London to talk to students about a variety of subjects, from science and politics to arts and the media. Today's speaker is the Chief Operating Officer of the BBC, Caroline Thompson.
Welcome, Caroline Thompson.
With over 20 years' experience in the industry, Caroline is now responsible for all aspects of the BBC's legal policy and strategy. It's a unique chance for the students to get a real perspective on the world of media, and in particular on one of the world's oldest and most respected television establishments.
As you know, I think my name is Caroline Thompson. I'm called the Chief Operating Officer of the BBC. Which means I'm a member of the BBC Executive Board. There's a Director General and a Deputy Director General and me and then a number of directors. And we run the BBC. The BBC is a number of things, but one of the ways you can look at it is that we're a £3.5 billion a year business. We get most of our money from a licence fee, and I'll come on to that later, and we also get some other money from commercial businesses which we run alongside it. So we're a very big company, and if we were public, if we were a commercial company as opposed to a public company, we would be well up in the top of the FTSE 100.
After her lecture on the workings of the BBC, Caroline takes the hot seat and offers to answer any questions the students might have.
What are your views on the blogosphere?
The blogosphere? You'll probably know more about the blogosphere than I do. It's a very interesting problem for an organisation like the BBC. To be honest, we've not quite decided what to do. I mean, we use, I think, blogs very effectively in some sort of essentially accountability forums. So what we do is our news journalists will quite often do blogs about difficult decisions they had to make.
With today's classes ended, the students are heading into town to do some more sightseeing. Today's venue is Churchill's Cabinet War Rooms. Next week, we'll see the start of the debating competition that the students have spent the last week working towards. They'll take part in a series of heats, culminating in the best speakers heading to the headquarters of the English-speaking Union at Dartmouth House. There, they will battle it out in the grand final. Having spent the last week learning how to structure arguments in a debate, the students' task today will be learning how to deliver a stylish and persuasive argument. Using two key speeches by past British Prime Ministers Tony Blair and Margaret Thatcher, Sam is teaching his group different but equally effective ways to present an argument.
Does anyone think that Thatcher had good style and Blair had less good style? Okay. I think what that displays, in fact, is the fact that Tony Blair's style was tailored for the audience of today. That today we are used to wanting short sound bites. Today that's the sort of style we're used to. And Thatcher is much more used to an electorate who wants a government to sound kind of authoritative, as if they know lots of stuff. So what you've got actually Blair's speech, let me just read it again and see if you can kind of what he's doing there. So here we are facing the possibility unique in our 100-year history of governing Britain for a third successive term. Never done it before, never debated it before, never imagined it before.
Blair is surrounded by his own party people, so he doesn't really need to persuade them towards his point of thinking. So he can just be direct and give out his point of view. Whereas the second case, where it's a television broadcast, he needs to be persuasive towards and her speech needs to be a little convincing.
It's worth bearing in mind, that's absolutely true. It's worth bearing in mind that there's a limitation you need to place on that, which is Tony Blair, coming up to election for his third term, was not always supported by his party. So, you do still need to be appealing. And also, he's very aware, I think you can tell by the way the speech is structured, that this will be seen by the electorate, that bits of this will be picked out and shown on TV. And that's why he's trying to craft those moments. So the speech is trying to do different things.
Each of Sam's students must now give a short speech on pollution and the environment. But they have to be extra conscious this time of how they present their arguments.
In recent times, we have noticed, not in fact noticed, but we have actually witnessed ourselves, that environmental hazards has been a problem faced by many countries, economically and also for the betterment of the people.
What do people think about style? Stylistically, was he, just in terms of engagement, don't worry about being particularly passionate yet, was that engaging?
It was clear.
It was clear?
Yes.
Okay, so it was easy to understand, it was a sense of volume. Was there anything that made it difficult? Was there anything distracting? Everyone does this sort of little two-step, back and forward. So try not to do that if you can, because it's kind of slightly disconcerting.
Today's guest speaker at King's College is John Simons. A former finalist in the World Universities debating competition, John now heads a team at Her Majesty's Treasury, the British government's finance department.
Okay, thanks very much. Morning, guys. As Sam said, my name's Jonathan Simons, and I work at Her Majesty's Treasury. For those of you that don't know, the Treasury is both the economics and the finance ministry in the United Kingdom. What that means is that it is responsible for spending and taxing and everything to do basically with money in the UK.
So when you or when your parents pay taxes, that's essentially recouped by the Treasury. The Treasury decides then what to spend those on.
After an informative lecture on Britain's economy, there's a short question and answer session in which John is asked if his skills as a debater have been of any use in his job.
I'm not just saying this because you guys are here. It is genuinely the single most useful thing I've ever done. That is not a joke. It is the single most useful thing I did in my university experience. It is far more useful than my degree. There are a lot of people out there who get degrees. There are a lot of people out there who get good degrees. What employers want is somebody who is articulate, somebody who can speak in public, somebody who can understand complicated issues, somebody who can write clearly, somebody who can summarise information. These are all skills that debating gives you. And it is genuinely, and I absolutely promise you, the single most useful thing I have ever done in my job. And I use the skills I learnt in debating every day.
Taking a break from the classroom, today the students are off on a day trip to Cambridge. With the afternoon's tour of Cambridge over, there's a surprise in store for the students. It's been arranged for the students to hold their own debate in the chamber of the world-famous Cambridge Union.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am a little bit confused. You said that you want to punish Kim Jong-il because he has killed people, and you want to do this by killing him.
It's clear that after just a few weeks' training, the students have come a long way.
You don't agree that what he does, killing children, starving around a third of his population, is not a mad act?
With the debate over, the students head back to London. With a day's lessons over, the students decide to check out London's famous Chinatown and head to one of its many restaurants. Course tutor Rydian is pleased with the progress the students have been making.
It's great to see people who you've really tried to work hard with to get them and to encourage them, and they come up to you proud that they've taken the third rather than the fourth. That actually means something, that it matters to them not to be the worst debaters in the room.
Having spent the last 10 days being taught the art of debating, it's now time for the students to put their skills into action. Over the next 3 days, the 60 pupils, divided into pairs, are going to compete against each other for 4 places in the Dartmouth House Grand Final this Friday. After 2 weeks, it's time for the students to head to Dartmouth House for the final debate. They assemble in the courtyard and await the announcement of the 8 best speakers from the last few days' heats.
Bye-bye and Aditya.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be asked to chair this debate, the finals of the first ever Global Young Leaders, which I hope will be the first of many.
Each speaker will be given just 5 minutes to state their argument, and at the end, the judges will decide which team they thought did best. As the debate continues, it's clear that all the speakers are giving strong arguments for their sides.
Because this team means a lot, the world to them, it means the life to them.
After 40 minutes, the debate is over. The judges now retire to reach their verdict, which will be given later on.
Food is ready next door if you would like to stand up.
With the debates over, the festivities can begin.
You'll miss the camera.
Yeah.
Obviously, part of the importance of today is to recognise the particular achievement of those teams who've made it to our final, and particularly those teams who've won it or done something particularly clever like that. But we also want today to recognise the achievement that every one of you has made throughout this course, in terms of attainment, in terms of effort, in terms of all the sorts of things that you guys have been putting in. And because of that, we have a certificate for every one of you. So first of all, in the particular order in which I shuffled them, Rums.
As the certificates are handed out to participating students, the only thing that now remains is to reveal this year's winner. First of all is the prize for the best overall speaker in the debating heats leading up to tonight's final.
And now on to the final itself. We have 2 prizes to award from the final. One to the best individual speaker, and one to the team. The decision was not one that was really easy to come to. It was one that we talked about for a while, had quite a detailed discussion about, but in the end we came to a unanimous decision. And our decision was that the winners of the Global Young Leaders Competition 2007 were... Krishna and Radha.
With the Global Young Leaders course at an end, it's time for the students to part ways and head home. For the students from Dubai, it's been quite an experience.
There's some of the people I've met here will perhaps influence what I do after I leave. Because I see people here and I see where I would like to be in say 10 years.
It's more than just a class on debating. It's just if you form so many bonds along the way that I mean you'll remember for the rest of your life.
It's been the best experience of my life. A full package. It's been spectacular.
The world today presents amazing opportunities for people to get to know one another and to travel and to meet people of different backgrounds. But that doesn't always mean that we're seeing a world that's more tolerant, where people are more understanding and where they're more able to get on with people of different backgrounds. I think that possibility is there, but it means that we have to recognise that people might have different views and learn to express those views in a reasonable way, to listen to other people's views and to discuss them and to see how we can shape the world that now really belongs to all of us. And I think what's really exciting about the Global Young Leaders Programme is that it's equipping a whole generation of people with the ability to do that, the ability to get involved in their own societies, to become leaders in those societies, and to take what they've learned from other people from different countries and apply that maybe to their own backgrounds, their own cultures and their own countries, so that we do create global understanding, in this case through English. It may be through other languages as well, but the great thing about the Global Young Leaders Programme is that it is also a great way to learn English, and that's also something that the ESU is really proud to stand by.